On March 6, 1987, a passenger ferry left the Belgian port of Zeebrugge with 539 people on board. The front of the ship was wide open. A car ferry loads vehicles through a door in its bow. Before every crossing, that door must be sealed shut, the only barrier between the car deck and the sea. On March 6th, it was never closed. 193 people died. This is the story of how an open door sank a ship in 90 seconds. This ferry had a fatal flaw, hiding in plain sight. Let's see how it broke down. Her full name was Herald of Free Enterprise. Free enterprise, the principle that the market, not the government, knows best. She was one of 3 ferries on the Dover-Calais route, the busiest short sea crossing in the world. Her sisters were named Spirit of Free Enterprise and Pride of Free Enterprise. The company believed in the idea. The Herald had made this crossing hundreds of times. No ship in the fleet had ever had a serious incident. The Herald was designed for Dover, but on March 6th, she was loading at Zeebrugge. The dock at Zeebrugge sat lower. To match the height, the crew pumped water into the bow, tipping the ship forward by just under a meter. That tilt pushed the open bow door closer to the waterline. The man responsible for closing it was asleep. No one else checked. At 18:05, the Herald left the dock, tilted forward, with the door still open. With the bow tilted down, the bottom edge of the open door sat less than a meter above the sea. And then the ship reached full speed. In shallow water, speed pushes the bow deeper. The tilt had already lowered the bow by 0.83 meters. The speed pushed it down by another meter. The bottom of the door was now 0.89 meters below the surface. Not near the water, under it. The sea did not force its way through a door. The door was not there. Water poured onto the car deck, later estimated at over 4,000 tons per minute. But flooding alone does not sink a ship. Most ships have sealed compartments, walls inside the hull that keep water in one place. What mattered was what the water did next. The Herald's car deck ran almost the entire length of the ship. No walls, no barriers. That was the design. A car ferry needs one long, open space so vehicles can drive straight on and straight off. Any wall in the middle would block them, so the deck was wide open, more than 100 meters, with nothing to stop anything from sliding from one side to the other, including water. When the sea came through the bow door, it spread across the full width of the deck, and then the ship began to lean. As the Herald tilted, the water followed, rushing to the low side, adding its weight to the lean. The lean got worse. More water moved. The lean got worse again. Water on a flat deck with no walls never sits still. It slides to whichever side is lowest. The loop does not stop. The lean started slowly, 30 degrees. The lights were still on. Passengers were thrown across lounges. 60 degrees. Furniture and people fell sideways into walls that were now floors. 95 degrees. The Herald was on her side. The international standard assumes a damaged ship can survive for 30 minutes. The Herald lasted 90 seconds. The flooding made the capsizing inevitable. It did not decide how many would die. That depended on what happened next. When a ship rolls onto its side, the inside stops making sense. Floors become walls. Walls become ceilings. A corridor that ran level a moment ago now drops straight down like a shaft. In the passenger lounges, tables and chairs ripped free and fell sideways across the room. People fell with them. Some found themselves standing on what had been a wall, grabbing anything bolted down. Some climbed toward the high side and broke windows to reach the outside of the hull. Others could not. The Herald came to rest on a sandbank, tilted 95 degrees, her left side underwater. The water inside was rising with the tide. And anyone in that water faced a problem that had nothing to do with the ship. The English Channel in March is 3 degrees. At 3 degrees, the body gasps, an involuntary reflex. Within 2 minutes, the muscles stop working properly. Within 15 minutes, you cannot grip a rope. You cannot climb a ladder. You cannot swim. Rescue helicopters arrived within 30 minutes. The wreck was visible from shore, but the water had already taken those minutes away. The fuel was a mismatch, a ship designed for one port, forced to tilt nose down at another, her open door sinking below the waterline the moment she reached full speed. The path was the car deck, 100 meters of flat steel with nothing to interrupt the weight of moving water, turning every degree of lean into the next. The trap was the water itself, 3 degrees, cold enough to shut the body down before anyone could reach them. Any one of these alone was survivable. Together, they were not. The investigation took 4 months. It did not blame the man who fell asleep. It did not blame the officer who forgot to check. It blamed the company. The judge called it a disease of sloppiness, from the boardroom to the deck. The captain had asked the company to install a warning light on the bridge, a simple indicator showing whether the bow door was open or closed. The company refused. The light would have cost a few £100. The maximum fine for a safety violation at the time was £200. The company was charged with corporate manslaughter. Under English law, a company could only be convicted if one specific person at the top was proven responsible. No one was identified. The case collapsed. 193 people were dead. No one was guilty. With 14 months, the law changed. Fines rose from £200 to £50,000, or unlimited. An independent investigation body was created, separate from the regulator that had failed to act. Britain took the case to the International Maritime Organization. The result was a new international code, binding on every commercial vessel in the world, requiring shipping companies to maintain a formal safety system from the boardroom to the bridge. It took 20 more years to close the last gap. In 2007, a new law made it possible to convict a company for killing people through systemic failure without needing to name a single guilty person. The law that failed 193 people was rewritten because of them. Herald of Free Enterprise, Spirit of Free Enterprise, Pride of Free Enterprise. The company named its ships after the idea that the market knows best. In 1987, the market was deciding what safety was worth. The ferry industry had been privatized 3 years earlier. Competition pushed fares down and turnaround times shorter. The Herald regularly left 15 minutes ahead of schedule, not because she was ready, but because the timetable demanded it. Tabloid newspapers sold £1 tickets to France. On the night of the disaster, at least 75 passengers were on board because of a coupon in the Sun. There was no passenger list. No one knew how many people were on the ship. A warning light would have cost a few £100. The fine for not having one was £200. The market did the math. The ship named after Free Enterprise was sunk by the economics of free enterprise. And then it changed those economics forever. 33 years before the Herald capsized outside Zeebrugge, it had already happened. In 1954, a train ferry named the Toya Maru left Hakodate, Japan, with the back of the ship wide open. Water flooded the vehicle deck. The free surface effect destroyed her stability. 1,155 people died. Different ocean, different decade, same physics.